You know, you don't always write those labels down. But if I have this, if I have a square that's 4 inches by 4 inches, and I ask you to give me the area of that, the area of a square is side times side, right? So that means the area is going to be what? 4 inches times 4 inches. Are you with me on that? Each side is 4 inches long, so it's 4 inches times 4 inches. That is why, when I do that multiplication, what do I get for my number? 4 times 4 is 16, but I also am multiplying these two labels together. What do you get when you multiply inch times inch? You get inch squared. That's where that square inch is. When we talk about labeling area, it comes because you multiply two units of measurement that have two labels, the same label together, inches squared. Which means if you see this, children, if you see 5 mile, if you see this, if you see 25 miles squared over 5 miles, okay, easily you can do the numbers. What do you get if you take 25 divided by 5? That's 5. So you can cross this off. But you also have to think about this. With labels, what does miles squared actually mean? It means I have, if I can write it, it means I have miles times miles. And anytime I have the same thing on top as the same thing on bottom, I can cross off this one with one of those. I'm still left with 1 mile that didn't cross off. So my answer is actually just 5 miles. Because 2 of those miles, the miles squared, one of them crosses off. Because anytime, just like with numbers, if I had 5 squared over 5, that top means 5 times 5 over 5. One of these will cross off because they're the same, and you're left with just one. The same thing is true for labels. If you see miles squared over miles, that means you have 2 miles times themselves on top, and one of them will cross off with the 1 mile on the bottom to leave you with that mile. So the thing they're trying to get you at is don't just think about the numbers, think about the labels. For example, this one, 300 miles over 10 gallons. The number part shouldn't be too tough. What do you get if you take 300 divided by 10? 30. Now what happens with the labels? In this case, they can't cross off because they're not the same. But this is, how would you say this? We say this as 30 miles per gallon. Because per means fraction line, 30 miles per 1 gallon. When you tell somebody how much, what your gas mileage of your car is, you tell them, oh, it gets 32 miles per gallon. That MPG, I can find a place where this thing writes. I have to fix this here. 30 miles per gallon, MPG, really means you drive 30 miles for every 1 gallon. That's all they're kind of the same thing. That's really, I don't know if they're going to ask you any more tougher things than this. 12 centimeters squared over 3 centimeters, what would that be? 12 centimeters squared over 3 centimeters. And if you were asked to simplify that, what would you get for an answer? 12 centimeters squared over 3 centimeters. If you were asked to simplify that, what would you get? Somebody help me out here. Knowing that centimeters squared means you have centimeters times centimeters. Kayla, you got?
8.
Now 3 goes into 12 how many times? 4 times. This 1 centimeter will cross off with one of the 2 centimeters up there. So you're left with just 4 centimeters. It takes a little getting used to. What is 2 feet times 8 feet? 2 feet times 8 feet. You multiply that out, you get,
16 feet.
no, not
Oh,
16 feet,
16 feet squared.
16 feet squared. Because you have to multiply the labels together too. And it's just too long to write feet times feet. That's why we write it as feet squared. It's 16 feet squared. Hopefully does that make any sense to everybody? It doesn't matter. Much of math